Hello friends, this is a second video on compound interest. You can see the 02, and here we will find out the difference between the compound interest and simple interest and compound interest for 2 years. The reason for taking the very second video based on difference of SI and CI is that in the previous video, that is compound interest 1, we have worked out the interest part. Look at this here. We have worked out what is a compound interest. This was my compound interest video 101. Now the way we worked out compound interest, with the same method we also worked out the difference between compound interest and simple interest with the same approach. So as the approach for both is same, therefore I prefer that let's go with the difference, because you already know how to compound interest. With small modifications, you are also with the same approach you will be also knowing how to find the difference between the compound interest and simple interest. I picked the same questions for which we have in my previous video worked out for compound interest. So let's work out one by one. I picked up the 4 questions here and we will discuss all the 4 questions where we will find out the difference between compound interest and simple interest. Okay, the first one, principal 25,000, rate of interest 8%, time 2 years. And when I'm saying the difference over here, so usually we get the difference for 2 years, find out the difference of compound interest and simple interest for 2 years, find out the difference between compound interest and simple interest for 3 years. So first we will discuss that 2 years difference. So you can see all that time is 2 years here. Let's work out this question, the first one. There is two ways I can approach it. One is the formula based and the other one is the alternate method, which in the previous video we have discussed that. So first let me explain through formula method. Formula says that difference of 2 years between simple interest and compound interest, which is denoted as D, is equal to P into R by 100 to the whole power 2. Okay, so let's replace the value over here. And what is P? Difference is equal to, what is P here? 25,000. We are dealing the first question. So 25,000 into R square by 100 square. So I will take this in the bracket first. That is 8 by 100 to the whole power 2. Now you can see that if I cancel these values, this is with 4 2 times and with 4 25 times. So I can write this value as 25,000 into 2 square is 4 by 25 square is 625. Now I'll cancel this number. With 25 it gets cancelled 25 times, it gets cancelled 1000 times, and again it gets cancelled 40 times. So 40 into 4, that is 160. This is the difference between SI and CI. And we know that SI is always greater than CI. CI is always greater than SI. Therefore, this 160 is the SI minus CI. In other words, simply we call it as difference. Okay. So this is my answer. Let's move on to the alternate method, and that is fraction approach. What is a 8% fraction? 8% is nothing but 8 by 100, which is equal to 2 by 25. Now, by taking that 25 square, it will be generating the principal 25 square. That means denominator square. So what is 25 square? 25 square is 625. So 625 will be my principal. So let's consider this 625. What is this 625? 25 square, which is 625. That's how we generate the principal, by taking the square of a denominator. Okay. Now We'll take the first year interest, we'll take the second year interest. What will be the first year interest? The interest will be 2 by 25 of the principal. And what is 2 by 25 of 625? That gives us 50. Because 625 will get cancelled by 25 times, and 25 into 2 is 50. So for first year my interest is 50. Second year also my interest will be 50 plus interest on previous interest, and this is your previous interest. So take the interest on this, and what will be the interest on this 50? Again 2 by 25 of 50. So 50 into 2 by 25. How much it comes? With 25 it get cancelled 2 times, and 2 into 2 is 4. That is interest on interest. So this is 2 by 25 of 50. Now if I add this 100, this is simple interest. This 4 is the difference between simple interest and compound interest. And when I add these two, I get 104, which is my compound interest. Yesterday we worked out with this figure, stating that 104 if compound interest, then the principal is 625. Or if the principal is 625, compound interest is 104. If the principal is 25,000, what will be the compound interest? That's how we worked out. Now here we are working with the working for difference between the compound interest and simple interest. So what is the difference between compound interest and simple interest? This 4. And what is the principal? The principal is 625. So I can write the equation here saying that when the difference is 4, when the difference is 4 or principal is 625, the difference is 4. When the principal is 25,000, what will be the difference? So into 25 divided by 625. Now we have already checked it here. It gets cancelled 40 times with 625, and 40 into 4 is 160. This is my answer. Now if you observe that in the previous case, by using the formula approach, we get 160 as my answer. Here also we get 160 as my answer. So which one is an easier one? Now for 8%, 10%, you may not find much difference in formula method and in fraction method. But when it comes to the questions like this, that 16.67%, where the fraction is 1 by 6, so you will get much advantage by using the fraction method. So therefore we will prefer to go with the fraction method than the percentage method, than the formula method. Okay, one more thing I would like to highlight here is we are writing few unnecessary things while we are explaining the concept, and that is in order to make you understand the concept. I don't need this CI and SI and this 100 and 4 and 104. So what I know is, what is this 4? 4 is the difference. And what is this 625 is the principal. So from here onwards I can directly write down the concept. When 625 is the principal, then the difference is 4. When the principal is 25, is it 25? Yes. When the principal is 25,000, then what is the difference? So into 25,000 by 625. So it gets cancelled 40 times, and it's 160, which is my answer. Hope this concept is clear. Let's move on to second question. So here the principal is 18,000, rate of interest is 10%, and 2 years. So some people may say here the first year 10% interest and the second year 10% interest and 10% on 10%, which is 1%. So this 1% is the difference between simple interest and compound interest. So I can directly work out what is 1% of 18,000. So look at this, 18,000 into 1%, that is 0.1. So I'll cancel these two zeros. So the final result I get 180 as an answer. I do agree that the numbers like 10%, 20%, 30%, I can directly figure out the difference between the simple interest and compound interest. As we worked out for 10%, the similar way if it is 20%, then first year 20%, second year 20%, and the difference is 20% or 20%, which is 4%. Yes. So the same way, if I have to work out for 30% rate of interest, then first year 30%, second year also 30%, and we have a interest on interest, that is 30% or 30%, which is 9%. So I can directly calculate the 9% of the principal. So it seems to be easy. I do agree with you. But as I said that I need the universal approach. But simultaneously, we will also know this concept that what is the difference? 10%. What is here the difference? 20% plus 20% plus 20% of 20, which is 4%. So I will find out the 4% of the principal, which will be interest. So we will know this method. But at the same time, we must know the fraction method also in order to handle the questions like this. Okay, how do I answer this question? With the formula fraction method. Let's work out. In case of fraction method, what is the fraction of 10%? That is 10 by 100, which is 1 by 10. So don't write too much in the rough format, because some of the calculation I can do it in the mind itself. 10% here. And what is 10% fraction? Everyone must know that obviously the denominator comes 100. So 10 by 100, which is 1 by 10. So I'll prefer to directly take 1 by 10 as the fraction. We are dealing with the second method. Now what is my principal? The principal will be the square of denominator, which is 100 here. 10 square 100. Now what is my first year interest? What is my second year interest? So 1/10 of 100 is first year interest, and that is 10. And second year interest also 10 plus, that is 10 is a interest on principal plus interest on this interest. What is 1/10 and what is the interest on this? 1/10 of this number, and 1/10 of 10 is nothing but 1. So I'll take that 1 here. So what is the difference between simple interest and compound interest? This 1 is the difference between simple interest and compound interest. Okay, this is the difference. So I can now put in the equation, when the principal is 100, difference is 1. When the principal is 18,000, then how much is the difference? Let's work out on it. That is principal 100, then difference 1. Principal 18,000, then how much is the difference? That is 18,000 by 100. I'll cancel this 20. I get 180. Did I get the same answer over here? 180. Here also 180. So question percentage like 10%, 20%, 30%. I leave the choice on you, because both the methods are simple and least possible calculation. But coming to the fraction, I'll definitely recommend you to follow the fraction method, like even for 8% or 12%, where you get this format easy when the last number is 0, 10% or 20% or 30%. But for the figures like even 8% or 12%, please follow the fraction method. We'll work out the next question. Now, this is 7,500 principal, 12% rate of interest, and time 2 years. Find the difference. Let's work out what is 12% fraction. So can you do it mentally? 12 by 100. I know that 12 gets cancelled by 4. How many times? 3 times. 100 gets cancelled by 4, 25 times. So I can directly take it as 3 by 25. Don't write too much at the initial, the figures which can be calculated mentally. But if some of you are not comfortable at the initial stage, for you I am writing this. 12% is nothing but 12 by 100, which is with 4 3 times, and with 4 this is 25 times. Now what should be my principal now? Generate the principal. So that is square of a denominator, which is 625. We created the principal. Now, interest is a 3 by 25 of the principal. As I said that all these we are dealing with 2 year only. What will be the first year interest? 3 by 25 of 625. As 625 gets cancelled by 25 times. So 25 into 3 is 75. This is first year interest. Second year interest on principal will also be 75 plus interest over this interest. How much interest? 3 by 25 of 75. How much is that? With 25, 75 gets cancelled 3 times, and 3 into 3, that's 9. And what is this 9? This 9 is a difference between SI and CI. What is this 625? This is principal. When the principal is 625, the difference is 9. When the principal is 7,500, what is the difference? So let's work out on it. And that tells us 625 is the difference. 625 is the principal and the difference is 9. When the principal is 7,500, what is the difference? Into 7,500 by 625. Let's cancel with 25 times, and with 25 this is 3 times 300, and with 25 this 300 will get cancelled 12 times, and 12 9 108 is the difference. So would you like to see that if I follow the percentage method, then what happens instead of fraction method? Let's observe this one. This is 12%. So first year 12%, second year 12%, and this is the next part is interest on interest. That 12% of 12%, which is 144, and the decimal will come over here. That is 1.44%. There's the difference. 1.44% of what? Of 7,500. Let's take 7,500 into 1.44 by 100. Now I cancel these two zeros, and then I will go with the multiplication with 75. And you will see that here you may not feel comfortable or fast or 100% accurate in calculation while you are doing an exam. So therefore I prefer the second method over first method, this fraction method over the percentage method. Now still we can do it, because 144 into 75 is not a very difficult job. Let's quickly multiply this. So 5 4 20, carry 2, and 5 into 14 is 70, and 70 plus 4 7 4 28. So 70 plus 28 is 98, and 98 plus 2 is 100, carry 10, and then 14 7 is 91 plus 10 is 100. What's that? 75 7, 14 7 is 98, and 98 plus 10 is 108. Okay, so here the decimal comes, because after decimal 2 digits are there. So what is my answer? 108. But did you observe, sometimes however long we practice on the calculation, sometimes we get stuck, as it took some time for me to derive this answer. So but still, up to this kind of question, I'll leave the choice for you. If you ask me my choice, I'll prefer the fraction method. Let's move on to the next question and the last one. That is 45,000 is principal, 16.67% rate of interest, and for 2 years. Find out the difference between SI and CI. Now I'll take the fraction here. That is 16.67. We know 1 by 6. Generate the principal, and that is 6 square 36. Now what is the first year principal? 1/6 of first year interest. 1/6 of this 36, and that is 6. Second year also 6 plus interest on this interest. How much is the interest on this 6? So 1/6 of 6. I repeat, 1/6 of 6 is the interest, and which is nothing but 1. So the difference between simple interest and compound interest is 1. When the principal is 36. Okay. So let's solve this question. Then if the 36 is principal, the difference is 1. If 45,000 is the principal, then what is the difference? So 45,000 by 36. Let's cancel this with 9 4 times, and with 9 5. So it is 5,000. Cancel this by 4. So 4 1, and that's 10 4 2, 8, and 4 5 20, followed by 0. That comes 1250. This is my answer. But my friends, if I have to work with this percentage, so let's check with the percentage part. That is 16.67 first year, second year 16.67% plus 16.67% of 16.67%. It was very easy to calculate 10%, and 10% plus 10% of 10% is 1. It was easy. It was very easy to calculate 20% first year, second year 20%, and third year 20% of 20%, which is 4. It is easy. 30% first year, second year also 30% plus 30% of 30%, which is 9%. It is easy. But this calculation is very complicated. So universally, if you want to follow any method, prefer the fraction method. So my answer in this question is 1250. Hope I could clear about the difference between simple interest, finding out the difference between simple interest and compound interest for 2 years. Please remember that this video is only for difference for 2 years. I will explain you in the next video the difference for 3 years also.